A hurricane's coming to Long Beach. You have 5 hours to prepare. What are you gonna do?
Mr. Speaker, August 29, 2009 will mark the 4th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. As I prepare to return to the 2nd District, I am reflective not so much of the unprecedented damage that wreaked havoc on the innocent, but on the power of the human spirit that was so evident in every citizen as they returned to New Orleans to rebuild their home and jumpstart their communities. But one only has to look around New Orleans and Jefferson Parish today to completely dispute that line of reasoning. New Orleans and Jefferson parishes are reemerging as the productive areas that as they once were. Tourism is back on the rise, and entrepreneurs are returning to reintroduce commerce and to boost the job market. But there is still much work to do. The Stafford Act must be redesigned to bring a systemic means of federal natural disasters assistance for state and local governments to aid citizens, and there must be a fundamental change in this approach to catastrophic disasters. With that, thank you very much.
Gentleman yields back his time.
Long Beach, New York is situated on the south shore of Long Island, an area that is vulnerable to nor'easters, tropical storms, and even hurricanes. With a width of about a quarter mile surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean and Reynolds Channel, a Category 1 hurricane could put the city underwater. What would the federal government do to help? FEMA's mission: to support citizens and first responders, to build, sustain, and improve our disaster relief and response. FEMA has more than 3,700 employees. Each employee is available for deployment at any time for all types of disasters.
Hurricanes originate off the west coast of Africa and move towards the Caribbean. Occasionally, storms may attain enough strength to hit the northeast area of the U.S. In the event of an emergency, New Yorkers living by the water, especially on Long Island, would be forced to prepare for catastrophic flooding and winds. Each year, FEMA sends information via mail to all American citizens. Depending on the region that someone lives in, FEMA will send specific information pertaining to disasters that may happen in that area. For instance, if someone lives in Long Beach, New York, they will receive information about flood insurance and wind insurance. FEMA basically forces most Americans to buy this insurance, or else FEMA will not help them in case of a disaster.
We interviewed a local homeowner and businessman to see what he thought about FEMA.
How does the federal government protect you with insurance?
Government requires us before to have flood insurance. That's Congress is a requirement that we have flood insurance to protect our mortgages. So I can't have a mortgage unless I have flood insurance protection.
Do you feel that the flood insurance provided by the government is sufficient enough?
What that really means to me, it's just like a tax, because flood insurance, when you read into it, doesn't really cover you for anything.
What kind of information does the federal government provide you with?
This is the flood insurance handbook that the National Flood Insurance Program sends to everyone. They require you to insure because nobody wants to spend the maximum because it's so expensive.
At first glance, FEMA appears to be doing its job of informing and protecting Americans who are at risk. However, FEMA fails to recognize the true risks that a Long Beach citizen faces before, during, and after a major hurricane. FEMA provides Mr. Stanger with flood and wind insurance that cover both his home and office. However, according to a recent study done by the Department of Homeland Security, the #1 cost of damages during a hurricane is contents. Contents can include anything from furniture, jewelry, electronics, clothing, and other valuables within a home or office.
So, how expensive is flood insurance?
In the event of a flood, the average American home receives over $300,000 worth of damages. FEMA's insurance plan states that homes with over $250,000 in damages must pay a minimum insurance fee of $5,750. When compared to other popular insurance agencies throughout America, FEMA charges nearly 60% more for down payments and insurance fees. Overall, Americans with FEMA insurance plans are overpaying for protection. FEMA also fails to protect valuables and material contents. Long Beach has a population of 30,000 that nearly doubles in the summertime. In the event of an evacuation during hurricane season, nearly 60,000 residents may have to evacuate. Long Beach is connected to the rest of Long Island by just 3 bridges.
Citizens who wish to remain in the city would be forced to reside in one of 7 local gymnasiums. However, these low-level facilities would easily take on water during small floods.
We contacted our local Congressman Peter King in order to learn more about the government's role in disaster relief. He responded with the following.
Overall, FEMA is an effective organization.
However, much work must be done in order to protect Americans living in areas that rarely experience disasters, such as Long Beach.